Hey guys, stick around. We're overtaking the OFR. All right, guys, welcome to the Ohio Fish Rescues YouTube. I swear I've hijacked it. My name is Robbie Olson, and next to me is Justin Templeton, also known as Dabby. So, again, I am the host of the Aquarium Guys podcast, and Big Rich and Josh have asked me to be the official branch for fish rescues in Minnesota of the OFR, and they wanted me to do a video on this particular fish rescue we're about to go on. So, Dabby's a friend of mine. He is in West Virginia. I'm in Minnesota. So this is a very odd rescue. We have a friend named Andrew Henderson. Andrew Henderson is, according to the Minnesota Aquarium Society, the current breeder of the year. And he has a big fish gallery in southern Minnesota. Due to the pandemic circumstances that we are living in, he has a couple businesses that he's running with not a lot of employees, and he and his wife are both working 90 hours a week due to unexpected circumstances. They have a small child, and they have no time for themselves, much less time to take care of an entire fish gallery in the bottom of their home. So with tears, because he loves the hobby, he reached out to Facebook to try to sell his fish to find them a new home, so he can deal with his emergency situations that he's been dealing with. I saw the post, remembered my friend Dabby over here, and I actually went about a month ago, 2 months ago, Dabby, I can't remember the date. I went and actually Dabby flew me out to his place and spent about 4 days building a over 2,000-gallon fish room. You have your entire basement dedicated to it. And immediately I thought of Dabby in his fish room and how he just got everything cycled, got all his tanks set up, and how this time does not allow him to order in fish. So he has a cycled fish room, no fish in it. So who better take fish in than Dabby? I gave him a call, and Dabby had the idea to take in his fish, to drive from West Virginia all the way to southern Minnesota and rescue the fish, take them in, and when the time is right and Andrew can get back on his feet again, to come back and get his fish. So essentially you're rescuing them for part-time, just so Andrew can get back on his feet again. And this is exactly what we all need to be doing and looking out for each other's fish friends, is if we can help them out during these times of need. You know, it's not going to last forever. It's going to be part-time, and we just got to make sure we're there for each other. And a big thank you goes out to you, Dabby, for willing to do that. So now to go on with the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to capture this. Big Rich and Josh asked if we could capture this on video. So this is going to be a couple different videos we're going to be doing. This is the first one, and we're going to do a fish tour of Justin's fish room that we're just putting the finishing touches on it. He's still got to put a few things in, like airline tubing and whatnot, but we'll do a quick fish tour to show you his empty cycled tanks. And the next video will be rescuing them, the trip to Minnesota. I'll have my editor scrap for my podcast, the Aquarium Guys podcast. And we will capture all that for your guys' delight. So without further ado, thank you, Dabby. Please, if we can do the fish tour. Also, his beard is all natural. I apologize about the miracle of Skype, but we're doing our best using remote technology. So as you walk in his fish room, the first thing you see is what we call the fish island. This is a cinder block rig set up with 23 15-gallon tall tanks that Justin actually rescued from a pet store that was upgrading. So all these tanks are decades old, so he had to reseal the tanks. They were already pre-drilled for bulkheads, and this is all a single sump recirculating system. So you'll see that the bulkheads were cut in the center back of the tanks. So we made an elbow skimmer. So if you go to, say, the top of the tank, you'll see how we cut PVC skimmers out of them for the recirculating system. So the other thing on this is if you go to one of the tanks, like lower right there, Dabby, you'll see a ball head fitting that we have. And that is actually allowing the water to be ran and controlled into each tank to allow it to shut off or turn back on. Whether he wants to quarantine a tank off the system for a while to wait 2 weeks before the fish gets introduced to the system, or to turn it back on to cycle through. Now, because of these tanks being so old, Justin also has under gravel filtration systems on every one of these, as well as a secondary form of filtration. Shout out to my podcast there.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to represent the aquarium guy swag.
Don't worry, we're gonna get OFR swag in here soon enough. Let's go ahead and circle around to the inside of this island to show the inner workings of the recirculating system. So this fish island, as you can tell, is quite extensive. We have quite a few different PVC fittings that we've put in. Go ahead and go closer to the sump. So it all recirculates back to one sump that has a hand-adjusted sock filter. It has pot scrubbies for biologic media. It's still not done yet. It still needs a lid that he's cutting right now, and UV filtration. But it also runs off of one customized controller pump, and the controller up there is up to your right-hand side. So you can adjust the flow for the entire rig. And then it all recirculates back into each tank with the ball heads right from the left there.
Once they come out of the bulkheads, we actually have these draining down into the 3-inch drain that will run the complete course of the island all the way around and come out to this T here where everything drops down through the socket into the sump.
So a couple of questions is the sock that he's using is a cheap gutter drain sleeve that he's using. It's about 200 microns. It's a lot cheaper than purchasing different socks, and it works pretty well. So go ahead and wrap around to the other side. And you can see that this cinder block rig allows to be, hang stuff on the side of the cinder block, like for instance, tubing or anything extra. But you can also see his decor in the tanks. So Dabby acquired these tanks from a pet store that's been established for many, many decades. Shout out
to Bert's Pet Store in Russell, Kentucky for hooking me up with some of these and getting this started.
So you'll see in there that he has this mixed gravel, and this is a mixture of gravel that they've collected from probably 5 decades of being a pet store, all collecting into this beautiful clown puke. But see, Dabby's got a secret to deal with it.
Yeah, so this beautiful gravel to everyone else's clown puke, to me, I'm colorblind, so it's just gravel.
Frankly, you're cheating. That is the best clown puke money can buy. So this whole system wraps around. Go ahead and go to the front of the island. You'll see it wraps around. A couple of the tanks are not hooked up. He has to finish sealing a couple. But we also have a 40-gallon short. That's right there in the front. That was intended originally for like maybe a crab tank, something a little more shallow. But since he's going to be getting a bunch of different cichlids from Andrew Henderson, maybe it could be a grow-out tank for babies. Not sure. But that is also on top of the 23 other 15-gallon tanks in the system. So if we wrap around, we'll see the first thing on the right-hand side of the door. We'll see storage, and then we'll see your next rack.
Storage racks over here. And also, while we were talking about the island, I also am running 10-gallon tanks down here at the bottom. I still have to cut the wood to be an insulator down here. We're going to throw a couple sponge filters in these and get them rolling. I just saw a little bit of extra space there, had a few extra tanks, and figured that is a perfect place to get some more storage for Andrew's fish.
And also a place to put maybe some colder fish that don't have to have near as much heat. So here's another rack that we have of 10 gallons. And again, these are undergravel filters and sponge filters. These are not on a recirculating system. These are independent on purpose. And for those fish goers out there, if you're setting up a fish room, you have to do things on a budget. So if you have a light that works for now while you slowly, invest in your fish room, use a reptile light, use a desk lamp you can see there to your left, or even the old fluorescent lights. They still produce light. They can still grow some plants. They do the job until you can, afford more lighting. So don't be afraid of these DIY projects or, cheap fixes until you get more product in. So if we continue wrapping around, we'll see in the corner a pond. And again, this pond, working on getting it cycled. This will probably be a home for, say, Charlie the catfish and maybe something bigger. Also, this is still putting the finishing touches in the fish room. You'll have airline running across the entire fish room via this one pump. Right now, you're using a pond pump, which is up to the right. This still does the job for a lot of your racks. And also, if
it
you're
works for now. Can't wait to get the other end though.
Right, if you're looking for airline tubing, always get it in a big roll. All right, so also going around, you'll see the storage container. There, again, everything's still getting put away. And another rack with sponge filters and undergravel filters. Then, if you keep following to the left, you'll see some storage. Still not being, hasn't been organized at the moment, but we have a TV because you have to play Ohio Fish Rescue in your fish room. That's important. So as we wrap around the other utilities, such as the washer and dryer, the utility sink, we'll also see the bagging station for fish. And on the bagging station, there is, it looks to be like an old saltwater aquarium. It has a sump built in the back, and you're using this as your quarantine tank, so you can put UV filter in and monitor them right there on your bagging station. Right now, the only fish you have in the are some of these guppies floating around in your bagging station just to make sure the tank's cycled.
Yep.
So if you continue going, every fish room that you have is going to have a lot of humidity, so you're going to want a rebreather. So we took a shop fan for the floor, plumbed it up to your dryer vent, and it actually takes humidity in your room and just pushes it right outside the home.
Yep.
So following past your bagging station, again, this is all work in progress, but we have ponds now cycling out here. So these are Rubbermaid stock tanks that we use as ponds. And on top, you'll see the PVC that we're going to be using to run the airline. And most importantly, any fish room that you have, you're going to have friends that you want to impress them with your fish. Have yourself a beverage cooler. So crack yourself a cold one. You know, on the OFR live streams, we always do the secret drinking game. And I think something about Pittsburgh, you know. So drink away responsibly, friends. Also, going out of the room, which we can't show you at the moment, there'll be additions to the fish room going into the next room. You're going to be setting up, I believe it's 3 75-gallon tanks in a rack, and then another big rack entirely. So this will continue to grow into the rest of your basement.
Yep, it's going to continue to grow. The wife is happy about it. She actually gets to hear all the bubbles and everything. But there will be 75-gallon, 3 75-gallon tanks, and then we're going to do 2 55s, and then another rack entirely in there. And that's what these 15 down here are for. They're going to go on a rack independent from everything, and we're just going to run the airline tubing up and over into the other room so that we can run that on the full system.
You gotta love the expansions. But yeah, so an entire fish room built, not a fish to see, and we're excited for the next video, getting a road trip all the way to Minnesota from West Virginia to pick up fish from Andrew, and just excited to have that done. So listeners, thanks to Ohio Fish Rescue for Big Rich and Josh for letting us do this. And again, happy to be on the crew as the official Minnesota branch of Fish Rescues for the Ohio Fish Rescue. And thank you, Dabby, for being helpful in this courageous cause.
Not a problem. I'm actually excited. We get to help somebody out, get him to stay in the hobby. He's an essential part of everything. That many fish he's bred. We've got to keep it going, and I'm excited to be able to be a tiny part of that.
So guys, we'll see you on the next rescue, and we'll get back to Josh and Big Rich's videos. But I think there's a catchphrase that OFR uses at the end of this: "Stay fishy, my friends."
Stay fishy, my friends.